Now we come to the last bit of our discussion on the chapter, and we talk about these different systems of memory. And in order to understand this better, let me show you this diagram. This diagram here lays out all of these different kinds of memory systems, right? And at the very outset, it sort of, distinguishes between these two different kinds of memory, which are, so first of all, declarative memory, right? Which basically holds all of our factual information, right? So everything that we can declare, right? That is called declarative memory, right? Then you have this further division of declarative memory into two different kinds. So the first kind is what is the semantic memory system, right? So this is basically where you have general knowledge. So for example, questions such as what is the capital of Pakistan, right? So everything that you can say, right, you can declare is part of declarative memory, and then everything that relates to general knowledge is part of the semantic memory system of declarative memory. So what is the capital of Pakistan? For example, who was the first prime minister or governor general of Pakistan, right? All sorts of such information that is general information, right, is part of your semantic memory system. Again, you would have how many continents are there in the world? All such questions would be part of the semantic memory system, right? Then you have the other branch of this, which is the episodic memory system, which is basically that you have dated recollections of personal experiences, right? So, for example, right, when was the first time that you learned to drive a car? Or when was the first time that you basically drove a car, right? So all of these different memories which have a particular date attached to them, right, are part of, your episodic memory system, right? So, for example, when did you get engaged, right? When did you go on your first trip to another city with your friends? So all of these are dated recollections in the sense that you remember a particular time being attached to them. When you have general knowledge, in the semantic memory system, you don't normally have dates. If I ask you this question, when was the first time you found out that Lahore is the capital of Punjab? You probably will not be able to remember, right? So this is not a dated system. The semantic memory system is not dated, whereas the episodic memory system is dated in the sense that you remember the particular time with which these memories are attached, right? Then, so this is it about the declarative memory system. Then you have this other memory system, which is the non-declarative memory system, right? And all of these are, they consist of actions, motor skills, right? There might be certain reflexes that you have, right? Which are not, you cannot declare them. So, for example, you know how to learn a bike. This is, you know how to ride a bike. That is part of your memory, right? But you cannot really declare it, right? Or for example, you know how to swim, but you cannot, sort of put this into words in terms of how do you know this, right? Or how do you swim, right? So all of these different actions are part of your non-declarative memory system, right? All of these different actions, motor skills, reflexes are part of your non-declarative memory system, right? This further distinction between retrospective versus prospective memory, right? Now, these are also two different memory systems. Now, one of these, retrospective, has to do with events in the past, that you remember events from the past, or you remember, information that you've learned in the past. Whereas prospective memory has to do with the future, that you remember to perform certain actions in the future. For example, if you want to, buy something for someone's birthday, right? So that's something you intend to do in the future, right? And you remember to do it, right? So that is part of your prospective memory. Or for example, you want to, prepare for a particular exam, right? And that you have to do in the future. So you remember to do that in the future, and that is part of your prospective memory. So this is basically the distinction between retrospective memory and prospective memory, that one has to do with the past and the other has to do with remembering to do things in the future.